Guys, coming with another movie for you guys, and this movie reviewing, I am so happy I finally saw this movie. I've wanted to see this movie for 2 weeks. I wanted to see this movie when it came out, but of course, the week of the musical and things like that, you guys know I made no videos then, I had no time whatsoever, so I didn't get to see it till today, but finally I did get to see it, and that movie is 10 Cloverfield Lane, and finally got to see it, and yes, I do have a poster for it, actually, 10 Cloverfield Lane. I could not wait for this movie. Not just because of the fact that it looked really suspenseful and really crazy, I didn't really know what it was going to be, but the fact that it was a movie that a trailer just came out of nowhere with no build-up, no one knowing it was going to come out, and then everyone was like so excited for it, and then as we got more and more footage, I really wanted to know what the movie was like, and I've never really seen a trailer like that in a while, where they, J.J. Abrams was able to cover up all, all the private stuff about this movie. There was no one that knew this movie was being made. All we knew is that Mary Elizabeth Winstead was making a movie that, was very suspenseful or just in one location. That's pretty much what this movie was. And I was worried, though. I gotta tell you guys, I really was worried because of them showing that one trailer. I was worried they were gonna follow it up with another trailer showing the whole movie because that's what happens nowadays. Luckily, that did not happen, and I am so happy that didn't because 10 Cloverfield Lane is one of the biggest surprises I have seen in a long time, and it is a true masterpiece, and is much different than I think you think it's gonna be. Don't go into this movie thinking it's gonna be like Cloverfield because it's really not like Cloverfield. What I will say is that it's pretty much in the same kind of town as Cloverfield, but you wouldn't even know that. Even if you haven't seen Cloverfield, you're good. I mean, I didn't see Cloverfield, and I think I'm fine. I don't really think I need to see it after this movie. Maybe I'll check it out at some point, but it's completely different. It has nothing to do with this movie, and I definitely, not nothing to do, but it's kind of like they just live in the same kind of area. That's kind of where it is. They take place in the same universe, whatever you want to say, but 10 Cloverfield Lane, like I said, this is an incredible film that's kind of like a Hitchcockian thriller. That's very much what I got out of it, and I'm going to try to be very brief with the synopsis because you can't say too much about this movie. I will go into full spoilers, definitely, but I have to be very specific about what I say because it's the kind of movie where if you say too much, it ruins the entire movie, and I want you guys to go in knowing as little as possible. You guys probably know some stuff because this movie's been out for 2 weeks, but if you haven't seen it, and you're like me, who didn't get to see it till now, then I'm gonna try to be as basic as possible, as vague as possible. Basically, we have Mary Elizabeth Winstead. She just had a horrible breakup with her boy. Well, we don't exactly know. Something happened with her and her boyfriend. Either they broke up or they had a fight or something, and she basically she left. She left to start a new life, and she ends up in this really bad car crash, and then the next thing she knows, she is now trapped in this bunker with John Goodman, who's saying that he found her and that he rescued her and everything, and is also telling her that there's no way of getting out of this bunker because there is a chemical attack going on outside, and if she goes outside, there's gonna be, this horrible attack and everything, and John Gallagher Jr.'s character is also in this bunker with her, and basically, she doesn't know if John Goodman is crazy or not. She tries to find a way to leave and try to figure out more what's going on. That basically is the plot of 10 Cloverfield Lane. That's all I'm gonna say. I don't want to say anything else because there's a lot more going on that I don't want you guys to know about, and that's what I really was impressed by with this movie. They didn't really reveal much of anything in that trailer. The trailer just told you the basic plot, and that's what I like. That's what trailers should do nowadays, and I'll talk about some of that, but let's talk about the acting first, because that's the thing that really makes this movie. There are 3 actors in this entire movie. There are other actors here and there, including one, sort of cameo that I was like, that's really cool the way they kept that hidden. I mean, they were able to keep this cameo hidden. They really keep pretty much all the details about this movie hidden, which I was very impressed about. But let's get to our acting. Mary Elizabeth Winstead in this movie, she was incredible here as Michelle. Something I loved about her character, and everyone says that she's not an idiot. She's not an idiot. She's very smart. She's very resourceful, and she knows that there's just something off. These details she's getting are just, they don't seem real, and there has to be more going on than what Howard, John Goodman's character, is telling her. She doesn't believe it. She wants to know what's going on, but at the same time, she wants to stay because she knows there's no way of getting out. If she wants to survive, she has to stay as well. And you see her, she starts to communicate. She starts to kind of enjoy this living environment, and she really is a true heroine. I really loved her character. I thought she did a great job in this movie, and very much was a throwback to, I think, classic, movie heroines, really. She definitely felt that way. I really liked about her character. I thought she did a very good job, and she was very strong as well, and you can see that even though she's not nearly, the size that Howard is, or, even the size, or even the violence that Howard is, she still is very smart. She's very good at taking him down, and I love seeing that. I thought she was a great character. I definitely love that, and I thought she was just a great female lead. I've seen her before in Scott Pilgrim. She was very good here, but this is by far her best performance. She was amazing. Now, who I really need to talk about, though, and without a doubt, this movie would not be as good if it hadn't been for this actor, is John Goodman as Howard. I need to clap for him because he was incredible. I can't get over how amazing he really was. I mean, he's the kind of guy that you look at him and you're like, you're gonna kill me. That's the kind of guy he is. You just look at him in size and just how intimidating he is. He looks like he's gonna fucking kill you just by looking at him. You can tell that there's something just not right about him. But what I love about the movie is that they never really answer how his mental state is. They never do. There's never a point in the movie where they tell you this guy's crazy or this guy is telling the truth, or he's telling complete bullshit. You don't really know, and I really like that. I like the way that was done because there are points where he seems like he genuinely is trying to help them, and then there are points where it seems like, no, this happened, and this does not make sense, and the way that they did that, I really enjoyed. He was very intimidating, but you also kind of cared for his character because when you find out some of the stuff he's been through, I mean, he couldn't have just made it up. Some of the stuff he tells, I think, is true, and it does sound real, but then when at the end of the movie, you're like, was that real? Was that not? It's really one of those movies where you're really questioning everything he says. Everything that Howard says, I mean, I'm questioning, and everything he says, definitely, it's something to think about, and I think they did a very good job with that. He's very, like I said, intimidating, but he also, like, really does care about her. Like, he does want to help her, and the more you find out about him, the more you're interested in his character. He was just amazing in this movie. He's this, towering figure that, again, like I said, you do not want to mess with, and he did a great job. I've never really seen John Goodman play a character like this. Like, he's played characters before where he's played these very powerful characters, but most times they're played for comedy. And here, this was a serious role, and a lot of people are saying he should be nominated for an Oscar, and honestly, I could see that. I don't think he's going to get an Oscar, but I do think he could get a Golden Globe or something. He really was incredible, and definitely something to be acknowledged. He definitely is one of the greatest actors working today, and just the fact that he was able to do what he did in this movie, I mean, he really was incredible. And there's some tough scenes in this movie, definitely. I mean, he has to go from really just calm to insane in just a second, and that's not easy to do, and he really did that great. And like I said, you don't know what's going on in the mental state, and I love that, and it makes you just as scared of him as Michelle is, and I love that, and he did a great job. I want to talk about John Gallagher Jr. because a lot of people aren't talking about him. A lot of people are saying, oh, he doesn't need to be in this movie, or he's not as good as the other two. I thought he was great. I thought he did a great job in this movie. He really was fantastic, and I love Emmett as a character because the thing is, he, again, like, you don't really know why he's there, and you don't really know what's going on, but he seems to believe Howard. Like, he believes everything that Howard says. He's stuck by Howard. You kind of know that these two are working together, but he also really cares about Michelle, and they don't go the route you think they're going to go. They don't go the romance route, which I was happy about. I thought they were going to do that. They don't do that. Instead, they do something completely different with this character, which I'm definitely very impressed by. He also kind of provided some humor because there isn't a lot of it. This is a movie that's kind of not devoid of humor, but I'm glad they had him in there because you need some of that. In a very highly intense movie, you need some humor in there, and that's kind of what he did. He provided some humor. The three of them work so well together, and just in this confined space, I mean, they just all work so well. You could definitely tell that they really were the stars of this movie, and they tried to make it as small as possible. In fact, when this movie was first created, it simply was just called The Cellar, about these people trapped in a bunker, and I really did love that. The acting, like I said, was great. There is one other actor I talk about, but I'm not going to, because like I said, I don't want to spoil it, but I thought all three of them did an amazing job. They really carried this entire movie, and I love that the movie was character-driven. It really was a character-driven movie. While there is a plot going on, it is very character-driven. It's very much focused on these characters and how they get out of this situation, and what John Goodman's mental state is like. It's very focused on that, and I love that. And it's a movie where you're constantly guessing, especially because of Dan Trachtenberg's direction, which I just have to commend, because even though this movie is modern, it feels like a classic movie. It really does. I mean, from the opening moments, I'm like, this feels like a Hitchcock movie. It really does. And I really think that Dan Trachtenberg really took a lot of inspiration from Alfred Hitchcock or David Lynch, or some suspense director like that. There's a lot of different kinds of directing in here, and I definitely really appreciate his directing here. And just the tension, the way the tension is done in this movie is so well handled. There's no jump scares in this movie, which I definitely really loved. But the tension, I think, is the thing that's most well realized here, because the movie doesn't have tons of tension all the time. Like, there's just tension going on in a scene, just conversations. I mean, there's tension going on, conversations, and I was genuinely terrified. I had no idea what was going on. I didn't know what was going to happen. happen, and I love that. And the way they reveal certain things in this movie was so well handled, just from a panning of a camera, or even the beginning where you see just some things, like maybe you saw like, oh, I don't know, a picture or something in John Goodman's pocket or something like that. Even like the jukebox or something. Just the way that that was done, I really love. I thought his directing was amazing here. He really did a great job with it. And I like they didn't try to make Cloverfield 2. I like they tried to do something different. And Dan Trachtenberg is a new director. This is the first film he's ever made, and I can't wait to see what else he does, because he definitely is a class act. He's a class act in the sense that he directs like classic movies, and that's why this movie, I think, turned out as well as it did. If this was a modern day movie, I'm sure it would be good, but it would have some of the things that modern day movies had. And this, like I said, really felt like one of those classic Hitchcock thrillers where, you know, it's in one room or something like that. A lot of times it felt like Rear Window or something. Like, if you guys have seen Rear Window, that entire movie is just someone sees something through a window, and this is the man that commits that crime, and this very much felt like something like that. It's a very simple premise, but there's so much they go with it. There's so many directions it goes, and I love that. I thought that was really great, and I thought the directing, like I said, was great here. The screenplay, though, without a doubt, I mean, it's amazing, and it should be nominated for an Oscar, okay? I don't care. I think John Goodman should be nominated too, but the screenplay should be nominated. John Goodman's the best thing about this movie, without a doubt, but the screenplay definitely should be nominated for an Oscar, because the screenplay is so good, especially because there's very little dialogue in the first half of this movie. I mean, once she gets to that bunker, that's really when it starts up, and once she starts to meet John Gallagher Jr., yeah, there's a lot more dialogue, but the first, like, I'd say 20 minutes, there's barely any dialogue. A lot of it's just us seeing her daily life, and I love the way that was done. And the way they were able to keep this movie hidden, like I said, I haven't really seen it done like that since Psycho, which, if you guys are going to read my Letterboxd review, I'm going to compare this to Psycho, because I haven't really seen something like this done before, where they kept a movie as hidden as they did, like with Psycho. That's kind of the only thing I can compare it to, because it's very similar. I mean, we really didn't know what we were getting into with this movie. We were able to go into it blind, and that doesn't happen nowadays. Back then, back in like the 1960s, they didn't even know what the movie was about that they were seeing. They saw a trailer, but they didn't know what they were seeing, really. They didn't know what was going to happen before. They hadn't seen these trailers before. There were no way of doing that. There was no internet back then. And this movie really, it just feels classic. Just the way it was done. It feels like it's not made now. It feels like it was made years ago, and I love that. And even though they use modern technology in this movie, they don't really acknowledge it. They don't. Even though she has an iPhone and things like that, they never really use it. I mean, there's a scene in the beginning, obviously, with the iPhone, and there are things where they talk about modern-day technology, but other than that, like I said, you could cut all that out, and it would feel like it was in the 60s. I mean, I was watching this movie, and I'm like, this feels like something from, like, the 60s or something. It was so cool the way it was done, and it was very well realized. I don't know if that was the intent, but I really feel like it was. They did a great job with that. Josh Campbell's screenplay, as well as co-written by Damien Chazelle, I thought was very well done, and like I said, the tension here is great, and also just the way that we engage in this story. They don't reveal a ton of stuff just, you know, by like an orgy of evidence, and they don't like reveal stuff to you just by saying everything. This is a movie that treats you smartly. It makes you look at certain clues, and then you think, what does that mean? Or, what is that? Like, there's certain things, like, for example, John Goodman talks about how there's this girl, Megan, that just, and this is kind of a spoiler, kind of not. If you guys don't want to know anything, then just stop listening now, but he talks about this girl, Megan, and that she's just not there anymore. What does that mean? I was just thinking, what does that have to do with? And that's something else you get clues. I mean, you start to hear things about people that have been in this bunker, or what Howard's been doing, and you really start to question what's really going on here, because there clearly is more going on that they're not talking about, and you definitely want to know more what's going on. I love the way that was handled. The screenplay was just incredible. The conversations that they have, and also because in a bunker, there's not a lot to do. The movie really acknowledges that, and the way that the characters start to accuse each other and start to go crazy and just start to just, they want to get out of there, obviously, you know, Mary Elizabeth's main goal is to get the hell out of there, because she wants to know what's going on. I mean, she even starts to realize that there definitely is more going on than she thinks, and I love the way that was handled, and I also love that they didn't really reveal what was going on to the very end of this movie. That's a very good way to do it. It's a very good device, and I'd love to see that done again, because, like I said, it hasn't really been done, I think, since a Hitchcock movie, and I love the way that was handled. Definitely really great stuff with that. Screenplay was amazing. The cinematography here by Jeff Cutter, I thought was just incredible. He did a great job. The movie feels claustrophobic. Like, I felt trapped with them. I felt like I was right next to Mary Elizabeth Winstead because the entire movie is in her perspective. There's not a single scene where she's not in it. Every scene she's in it. Every scene we're seeing it how she sees it, and it was a very good way to do it. I was thinking, oh, maybe we're going to see this in the way that John Gallagher Jr. sees something, but no, it stayed in Mary Elizabeth Winstead because she's our main character. She's the one trapped here, and she's the one that needs to get out of there. And we start with her, and we end with her, and I love that. There was never a question of who's the movie really focused on. There was never a question of, should we be rooting for this character? We knew what she was going through. We understood the situation. And by having the cinematography the way it was, really was a great idea. We don't get to see what's going on inside. We only see what she sees. And I love that. And, other movies nowadays, they would do something where we know something that she doesn't. And that's a good example, I think, of dramatic irony or things like that. There are good ways you can do that. But for a movie like this, you really can't do that. You got to keep it so we only know what she knows because it keeps us engaged, and it's very easy for us to kind of get bored in a movie like this, and they kept it so interesting. I was never bored. I was into it the whole time, and all the details coming out I just loved. Then cinematography, like I said, the way Jeff Cutter did it, I loved. And the outside scenes, I mean, you really feel that tension, but you also feel it inside, and the outside just as bad as inside. I love the way that was done, and especially the opening moments as well. The opening scene I really love because, like I said, there's barely any dialogue. It's all done through, like, just showing us things, and I love that. And the way that we just use objects to tell us what was going on, definitely really well handled. Jeff Cutter did a great job with cinematography, and one of my favorite parts of the movie by far. The score here, like I said, it feels like an Alfred Hitchcock score. It really does. I mean, when I heard that score, I'm like, that is so good. I am definitely buying the soundtrack, without a doubt. I love the opening music to this movie. It's just, the tension is always there, and they never overuse the music. This is a very quiet movie. They only use music when they really need to, and I definitely really appreciate that. It's not like Batman v Superman where they use music in, like, every scene. I don't like it when things do that. I like that they kept this, quiet at points, because it would be quiet. There's not, like I said, much to do in a bunker. You have to keep it quiet, and I like that. It stayed grounded, and it felt that way. I love the way that was handled. The music was just incredible, and it got more and more intense as it went on. I definitely really appreciate that, and I loved Bear McCreary's score. Really great, really added to the tension. Never felt too much, and I definitely really appreciate that. Really great stuff. The editing here, the movie is the perfect length. It just went by so fast. I was going through it the entire time, and I love that. Just the way it was handled was fantastic, and I really wouldn't change anything. Okay, so now, guys, I'm getting into spoilers, which, if you guys have stuck me this entire review, great. But if you don't watch the rest of this review, then don't watch the rest of this review, because I'm going to spoil everything. It's very hard to talk about this movie without spoilers, which is why, like The Witch review, this review is kind of choppy. That's probably why, because of the fact that this movie is very hard to review without talking about spoilers. So let's just get into it, because I really want to talk about what you guys want me to talk about. Okay, so I'm assuming you guys have seen 10 Cloverfield Lane. Let's go all the way back to the Megan review, because I knew there was something not right about Megan. Like, the second he said, oh, she's not here anymore, I'm like, he killed her. He probably killed her. That's probably what's going on. And that's the thing that Evan thinks it's going on. That, basically, he feels that Emmett thinks is going on. He thinks that, basically Howard did something to Megan. Well, Michelle suspects it at first, but then Emmett tells Michelle that the picture of Megan's not even Megan, which is very interesting. And she thinks that Howard might have killed Megan and done something terrible to her, and that this is his daughter and everything, and that something terrible happened. So she's really questioning what's going on there. Then when we found out that there was, like, blood all over the door that was blocked, then you knew something was not right. And I'm like, what is going on with Howard? What is he doing? I like that the movie never outright told us if Howard was right or not. I like that, because it's supposed to be Michelle's perspective. We're not supposed to know how Howard's thinking. This is just a crazy guy that she's encountered, and she doesn't know what to do. And I'm happy she got out of there. When Emmett was killed, though, I was shocked. I really was. I thought it was very well handled. I really love that. And, I thought it was really great the way that Emmett just stuck up for her. It showed that even though he stayed loyal to Howard all this time, and he's been with Howard, he cares about Michelle, and he knows that Howard's dangerous, and he wanted to save Michelle. He wanted to go from this, and I love the way that was done. Really great stuff there, and it really was effective. You can tell there's no time for Michelle to grieve, because she has to get out of there, and she did get out of there. And then she gets out. Howard, of course, she exposes Howard to the toxic waste, obviously. He trips over the toxic waste, and I thought he was just gonna die from it, but he didn't. Like, he had all the stuff on, and apparently he shaved shaved. I don't know when, this is a small continuity issue. I don't think this is a huge deal, but when the hell did he have time to shave? I mean, just out of nowhere, he shaved. I don't know how he had time to do that. But I will tell you guys this. The second that Howard said to Michelle, I didn't save you, I crashed into your car because I wanted to save you, or I wanted to save you from what was going to happen, that's when I'm like, something's not right about this guy. That was probably the first thing. Even when he was introduced, I knew something was wrong. But once he said that, I'm like, there's something not right here. So, of course, Michelle does get out. The house goes ablazing. There's fire everywhere. You know that Howard's going to die. The house explodes. Michelle goes outside. There's apparently no toxic waste until she sees a ship full of aliens, and it turns out that Howard was in fact right. There are aliens outside. Michelle does get away from them, but I like that Michelle didn't get killed, because in other movies, we'd see her get killed and everything, but she actually is victorious. She's able to put the Molotov cocktail into the aliens, and I thought that was very well handled. And, you know, while I don't think the situation is exactly what Howard says, we still don't know if everything that Howard said is true or not, and I love that. The movie's not supposed to end in a satisfying way. It's supposed to show Michelle's journey, and the fact that she's going to go to Houston, to basically, you know, she's going to go to Houston where there's medical, because, you know, at the end of the movie, they talk about how, they want to instruct survivors to evacuate north of Baton Rouge while asking for medical or combat experience to proceed to Houston, everything, and we see she's going to go there, but we also see that there's this huge alien ship, like, literally floating aloft, and, she's driving away, and that's basically how the movie ends, which I thought was a fantastic ending. I love the way that was handled, but like I said, we still don't know if Howard was crazy or not, and I love the way the movie ended. I like the movie didn't provide an explanation. All we know is that he freaked out when he saw that Michelle was trying to get away. He wanted her to stay. He tried to kill her, and definitely there was something not right about him. Either he was really obsessed with this, or he was really obsessed with her, or he did actually kill Megan. Now, I think that Megan might have been exposed to the apocalypse. We don't really know. What we do know is that Michelle was safe. Like, she didn't die. So not everything that Howard said was true. There was a way to get out of there, but obviously his situation is really bad. There are, in fact, aliens out there, and I like that they did that. I was at first upset, but I'm like, you know what? That does make sense. It makes sense that there are aliens out there. It makes sense why the situation is so bad, and I like that we saw that. I thought it was a good way for the movie to end, just showing that Michelle is victorious in the end, showing that she can take down these monsters that face her, and I love the way that was handled. But overall, guys, 10 Cloverfield Lane was absolutely amazing. Like I said, it felt like a Hitchcockian thriller. I definitely really love this movie, and at first I said it was a masterpiece, but really when I think back, I don't think it's as much of a masterpiece as I think it is now, but I still am going to give 10 Cloverfield Lane a 4.5 out of 5 or an A. I absolutely love this movie. Incredible stuff. I encourage all of you to see it. I am so happy the movie was able to be as hidden as it was. Definitely one of my favorite movies of the year. It will definitely be in my top 10, 15, whatever it is. I definitely am going to try to put this in my top 10 because it's an incredible film, and I definitely recommend you see it. I can't wait to see it again. I know everyone said that, but this really is one of those movies where you want to go back and see it again, and I'm going to do that definitely. Let me know what you guys saw this movie. Have seen it. Love to hear your thoughts on it. We'll see you guys in my next show, which will be for Daredevil, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.